Good morning. Make sure that you trim your notes and glue them into your notebook and update your table of contents. Do Moby Max for 5 minutes and then make sure that your homework that's due today is turned in. We're first going to review from yesterday with solving equations. Okay, remember when we solve equations, we use inverse operations, okay, and that means opposite. Okay, so add and subtract and multiply and divide. Okay, we want to draw our line down the equal sign because we want to make sure that each side stays equal, that you're doing the same thing to one side as you do to the other. Okay, remember a number next to a letter means to multiply. Okay, so I actually need to divide because the opposite of multiplication is division. So I divide by 4 on each side and I get x equals 16 divided by 4 is 4. Okay, and I can check my answer by taking 4 times 4 to get to 16. Okay, the next one, 5 plus x equals 10. Okay, I'm adding, so the opposite of adding is subtracting. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. Okay, on this side I have x, and on this side, because 5 minus 5 is 0, so on this side 10 minus 5 is 5. So x equals 5. Okay, and I can check. Is 5 plus 5 equal to 10? Yes. Okay, next one, remember this slash means division, so I have x divided by 5 equals 7. Okay, the opposite of division is to multiply. So I multiply each side times 5, and x would equal 35. Okay, I gotta check. Is 35 divided by 7, or 5, 7? Yes. Okay, x minus 13 equals 20. The opposite of subtraction is addition, so I add 13 to both sides. And x should be equal to 33. Okay, is 33 minus 13 20? Yes. Alright, now remember these are our backwards ones. Okay, 30 divided by x equals 5. Okay, this is a pretty simple one, so you should be able to think of that number in your head. Okay, but the opposite of division, remember, is multiplication, but I can't multiply 30 times 5 because I'm going to get a large number. So I need to change my equation. Okay, 2 ways I can do that. I can flip-flop the x and the 5, so I can take 30 and divide it by 5, and that will be equal to x, because 30 divided by 5 is 6. Or I can flip-flop it and say 5x equals 30. Okay, because 5 times x is 30. And then I divide by 5 on both sides, which is what we just did, and x is equal to 6. Okay, same thing over here. I have to take 13 minus a number to get 5. Okay, I can't do it that way, so I have to either take 13 minus 5 to get x, and 13 minus 5 is 8. Okay, or I take x plus 5, because the opposite of subtraction is addition, and I can check my answer by adding those two to get 13, and then again subtract 5 from both sides, and x will be equal to 8. Okay, the main thing with these is being able to check your answer correctly to make sure it makes sense. Okay, 30 divided by 6 is in fact 5, and 13 minus 8 is also 5. Alright, today we're going to learn how to write and solve functions. It's very similar to the equations that we were just doing. Alright, first thing we have is our vocab. Okay, a function is a relationship between two quantities in which one quantity depends on the other. Okay, rewrite it. Y equals 5x plus 7, for example. Okay, you got a y and you got an x. Input is the value that we put into the function. Okay, this is x. This is what we plug in. Okay, for example, if I wanted to plug in 1, I would plug in 1 where I see my x. 5 times 1 is 7. 5 times 1 plus 7, I'm sorry. 5 plus 7 is 12. Okay, your output is your answer. Okay, what you get when you solve the input value, and we also call that letter Y. In this case, that answer would be 12. Okay, really, functions are dealing with patterns. Okay, so we want to find the pattern and figure out a rule in order to continue that pattern or define the missing number. Okay, so for example, really basic, just find the next 3 numbers in the pattern. Okay, so we have to look at this first one, 31, 27, 23, 19. Okay, well, what's happening? Well, first thing is it's going down. So if it's going to go down, that usually means I'm either going to divide or subtract. Okay, 31 to 27, if I take 31 minus 27, my answer will be 4. Okay, 27 minus 23, subtract 4. 19 to 23, subtract 4. So I need to continue that pattern. 19 minus 4 is 15. 15 minus 4 is 11. And 11 minus 4 is 7. Alright? The next one is a little bit tricky because you have 2 patterns going on. From 132 to 144, you're actually adding 12. Okay? Same with 144 to 156. But the next one, you have 10 to 11. Okay, that's plus 1. And 11 to 12, that's plus 1. Okay, so if I add 12, because that's the one that comes next, 156, I get 168. And then I got to add 1 here, so I get 13. And then I add 12 again to get 180. Alright, the next thing you can do is you have a rule, okay, which is this right here, y equals 5x, and you have to complete the table. Okay, remember what I plug in is the same thing as x. Okay, so I got to put that where my x is, these 4 numbers. Okay, and then what I get out is going to be my answer. Okay, so for example, my rule is y equals 5x. So I'm going to plug in 4, 6, and 8 and 10 where I see x. So first I take 4 times 5, and that is 20. And then I just continue my pattern. 6 times 5 is 30. 8 times 5 is 40. Okay, and then 10 times 5 is 50. And then that's my function table is now complete. Okay, the next example is a little bit more complex. Okay, you have y equals 3x minus 5. Again, all of these input values, 2, 4, 6, and 12, are going to be plugged in where you see x. And then you're going to follow the order of operations. Remember, a number next to a letter means to multiply. So that's what I have to do first. Okay, first thing I have to do is take 2 times 3. Okay, 2 times 3 is 6. 6 minus 5 is 1. Okay, same thing with the next one. 3 times 4 minus 5. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 minus 5 is 7. Okay. 3 times 6 minus 5. 3 times 6 is 18. 18 minus 5 is 13. Okay. And then the last one, 12 times 3 minus 5. 12 times 3 is 36. 36 minus 5 is 31. Okay, the last thing that you can do is you have a table and it's almost all filled out and you actually have to find the rule and the missing number. Okay, so right now this box next to 10 is blank. I gotta figure out what number I can put in there. Okay, couple of things you can need to look at. Okay, I need to look at my pattern. Okay, what's happening over here? 0 to 7. I'm adding 7. Okay, 7 to 28. I'm adding 21. Okay, that's not a nice pattern, so I need to look at the other side. 0 to 1 is adding 1. Okay, and 1 to 4 is adding 3. Okay, so now if I look, I take this number and put it over this number. So that's 7 over 1. And I can take this number and put it over this number. That's 21 over 3. If I divide both of those numbers, I get 7. Okay, well, what are they doing with 7? How do I get from 1 to 7 and 4 to 28? Well, they're multiplying by 7. Okay, so I have my rule, y equals, and then 7 times whatever I'm putting in x. Now I need to check to make sure I don't have to add or subtract anything. If I plug in 0, 0 times 7 is in fact 0. Okay, 1 times 7 is 7. 4 times 7 is 28. Okay, so this is my rule because it follows my directions here. And then I fill in the last one. 10 times 7 is 70. All right, let's look at my next one. Okay, so again, I want to look at my pattern. Remember, x and y. Now they're a little upside down, so this is your x and this is your y. So I look at my y first. Okay, I can't look here because I don't know what that pattern is. So I look from 10 to 11, I'm adding 1, and I look from 11 to 12, I'm adding 1. Okay, remember I also have to look at my x values to make sure to look at that pattern. Okay, 0 to 1, I add 1. 1 to 2, I add 1. 2 to 3, I add 1. 3 to 4, I add 1. So I have to put this one over this one. That's 1 over 1. And 1 over 1. Well, that's just 1. So really, I'm not multiplying anything. So I just have y equals x. Okay. However, how do I get from 0 to 8 and 2 to 10 and 3 to 11? Okay. Do you see a pattern there? Well, 0 to 8 is I add 8. Now let's check to see if that works with the rest of them. 2 to 10, yep, that's 2 plus 10 is 8. 3 plus 8, is that 11? Okay. 4 plus 8, is that 12? Yes. Okay, so my missing number would be 1 plus 8. What is 1 plus 8? Well, that is 9. Okay, now double check to make sure. 8 to 9 is 1, 9 to 10 is 1, 10 to 11 is 1, 11 to 12 is 1. Okay, that should follow a pattern as well. Okay, make sure that your numbers make sense. All right, let's look at the next one. Okay, same thing. Let's look for our pattern. Okay, 5 to, I don't know what 5, because I don't know what this number is, so I don't know what this pattern. Same thing with this one. I don't know what this pattern is. But 9 to 11, I add 2. And 11 to 13, I add 2. Okay, and over here, I add 1, add 1, add 1, and add 1. Okay, I have to look at 2 over 1. 2 over 1. 2 over 1. Well, what's 2 divided by 1? Well, that in fact is 2. So that means I have to take y, or x times 2, someplace. Okay, now I got to figure out how do I complete my pattern. Well, let's plug in some values. Okay, let's plug in 0. If I take 2 times 0, I somehow have to get to 5. That means I have to add some number over here. What number can I add to 0 to get 5? Well, I can add 5. Okay, let's see if that works for the next one. Okay, 2. If I take 2 times 2 plus 5, what do I get? 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 5 is 9. Okay, so my rule is y equals 2 times x plus 5. Okay, let's check the last couple numbers. Okay, 2 times 3 plus 5. What's 2 times 3? Well, that's 6. 6 plus 5 is 11. Okay, 4. 2 times 4 plus 5. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 5 is 13. Okay, that's my pattern. So I got to do the last one. 2 times 1 plus 5. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 plus 5 is 7. All right, this last one is probably the most challenging. Okay, so again, look for my pattern. So I have 5 to some number, and some number to 9. 9 to 11 is 2. 11 to 13 is 2. Okay, up here it's all 1. Okay, so that tells me the first part of my rule is y equals 2x. Okay, that pattern always goes in front of x. Okay, now I have to figure out, because I know that 7 times 2 is not 9. Okay, so I have to figure out how can I get to 9? Okay, or how can I get to 5? Or how can I get to 8? Or how can I get to 9? Or 11 and 13. Okay, so let's try some. Okay, if I take 5 times 2, my answer somehow has to be 5, because y is equal to 5. Okay, somehow I have to get from 10 to 5 by adding or subtracting. Okay, well, I know I can take 10 minus 5 to get to 5. Okay, let's see if that works for the rest ones. Okay, if I take 7 times 2, okay, that's 14. How do I get from 14 to 9? Well, the number's got to get smaller, so again, I subtract 5. Okay, if I take 8 times 2, that's 16. Okay, again, I have to get to 11. So 16 to 11, I would subtract 5. Okay, so I have y equals 2x minus 5. Now let's try that with 6. Okay, so I have to take 2 times 6 minus 5. 2 times 6 is 12, minus 5 is 7. Okay, does that follow my pattern? Yes. Okay, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. Okay, so y equals 2x minus 5 is in fact my answer. Alright, so a couple of things. Okay, make sure you get these notes all filled out and you hand them in to your teacher. Your homework is due on Thursday. Okay, we'll use tomorrow to review what we learned today. Okay, make sure you take the Schoology quick check. It's only going to be a couple of questions. Okay, and then there's a website on Symbaloo if you have time after you get your homework and stuff to go on there and practice writing some rules for your functions. Hey, go ahead and do that. Have a great rest of your day.